Hey everyone, Max here from MinMax blog. I'm ready for MinMax battle number 4, and I hope you are too. So the format today is a lot more straightforward than we've done in the past. Instead of choosing a bunch of decks, banning decks, going up random, whatever, Min and I brought 3 decks. We labeled them Deck A, Deck B, Deck C, so they're locked in their slots. And we just play 3 matchups. We have 10 tickets on the line per match. So the first match, so the decks I brought are Doomsday, Turbo Doomsday, which you can see in front of you. Blue-White Sharkstill, which is kind of a blue-white standstill Shark Typhoon control deck. And the controlling blue-black Shadow deck, which is right somewhere. Here it is. So it's a controlling deck. It says 13 creatures, but functionally it's 3 Ethereal Foragers and 4 Death Shadows as your threats, with a couple Brazen Borrowers. And you basically play this like controlling tempo. It's kind of like a classic Canadian Threshold style build or play style, with Death Shadow and Forager as your threats of choice. So Min brought Sneak and Show, Grixis Control, and Miracles. So the first match will be Doomsday versus Sneak and Show. The second match will be Sharkstill against Grixis Pyromancer Control. And the third match will be Blue-Black Shadow against Miracles. So I'm really excited to play this. I'm going to let Min know that I am ready to battle. And whenever he is, he can challenge me. Okay, here we are for round 1. I won the die roll. This is me on Turbo Doomsday against Min on Sneak and Show. So we don't know each other's exact lists, which means that I don't know if like he's on a Days version or not or what have you. He just knows I'm on Doomsday. Likewise. So this hand is not a keep. It doesn't have a Doomsday and it doesn't have a blue, like a permanent blue source. So I mean this could be like Lotus Petal, Brainstorm, and pray to find a Doomsday off the top, but I don't think it's a keep. I think it's a little bit too risky. This hand is also pretty bad. It's got 2 cycles, but it's got 3 lands and LED, which I don't really want. And the Days is so-so. So going to go to 5. And this hand is also quite bad. Wow, okay, so Min's also on 5. I think I'm going to keep this hand, and I'll put back Personal Tutor and Duress, and then double cycle with my Street Wraiths. And I'm just going to try to basically hit a land and try to sandbag a turn, luck sack a turn 1 Doomsday if I can. So this is 5 cards versus 5 cards, so it's not so bad. But it's also pretty risky. Days is nice if we find a blue source. Force of Will. Okay, I'm just going to pass. Min leads on Island, Lotus Petal. Badlands. I think I'm just going to jam Doomsday here. Spell pierces that. It's fine. I'm going to go Badlands and cast another one. Let that resolve. So at this point, I can force pitch Days if he casts a Show and Tell before I cast the Doomsday. Otherwise, this will be protection for my Doomsday. The Spell Pierce implies no Days to me, which is of note. I can also at this point, if I'm truly desperate, force pitch Days and then hard cast a Days using Lotus Petal. If I'm trying to battle over a sneak attack, for instance, or Show and Tell. Okay. Force that. Okay, another Doomsday, that's not great. So Thoughtseize. Oops. That's a good one. Let's see what Min's working with. Grizzlebrand and 2 lands. So we took the Grizzlebrand. And this means at least a single show and tell or sneak attack off the top doesn't win it for him. So he played the Misty, or played the Tarn. He has a Misty in hand. These Kaldheim basics are really quite pretty. That Ideas Unbound is not good. Basically at this point I'm just trying to find a black producing mana source. Uh-oh. Yep, there's sneak attack, okay. So at this point a big creature off the top kills me. Brainstorm. Gotta fire it off. Darkrit, cool. So we can put away one of these. We can put away Daze and Ideas Unbound. Neither of these cards really do much right now. And then we can go Darkrit, Doomsday. And then off the top, so I'm considering casting another Darkrit here, because off the top I can draw a blue source for Brainstorm, and then basically just like cycle into Oracle. But I think I'd rather go Night's Whisper. Because I can go Darkrit and like Night's Whisper and have a protected win next turn. So yeah, I'm just going to go Doomsday here. Whip out the old notepad so you can see what we're working with. And so my plan is to basically find... What I can do here is I can use this Darkrit in conjunction with my Draw Step and Night's Whisper. To basically, so I can draw Thoughtseize, or draw Night's Whisper for turn. And then I can draw Cycle, LED. Are they even necessary? I guess not. Because the draw step plus the night. So if I drew Night's Whisper, I could draw Thoughtseize plus blue. But then I can't brainstorm into anything worthwhile. So that doesn't actually help me. If I just put a blue source on top, like Island, for instance, then I can go LED, Cavern, so LED, Oracle, Cycle, and a blank card that doesn't particularly matter. So I'll put Cavern at the end. So that's what I'll do, and we'll hope Min doesn't get a fatty off the top. So Cavern, Cycle, Oracle, LED, and Island. So the Cavern, again, doesn't matter. These 3 cards don't really matter the order they're in, except for the fact of just kind of being able to put Thassa's Oracle into play off of Show and Tell, which isn't going to happen now. So the more robust way to do it is Oracle, Street Wraith, LED, because then you can just draw them in that order. And now I pass. Let's see if Min finds the fatty. It's pondering. Chose not to shuffle, which means I'm dead. Yep. Boop. Got me. Okay. So now sideboarding. The blasts are obviously good. The force effects are good. The defense grids don't really do much. We're both kind of on the same plan with regard to counter magic and stuff. I can cut a few cyclers. In this matchup, I can also cut like a personal tutor. This is 6 cards, this is 4 cards. What else do I want to trim? I like the Knight's Whisper as a way to kind of just like grind back and forth, and that gives me card advantage. I can cut Ideas Unbound because I don't need to make full stack piles for the most part. If I do, I can use Knight's Whisper for it. And I'm on the play, so I'm going to keep all my daisies. On the draw, I'd probably cut 1. I'm going to cut 1 Lotus Petal as well. Actually, that's probably irresponsible. Given all of Min's like soft counter magic and stuff, Lotus Petals probably do more lifting than is obvious at first glance. I need to cut 1 card though, and I don't quite know what to do about it. I need the LED in this kind of shell because of all the turbo wins. I can't cut that. Generally speaking, on the slower Doomsday decks, I do actually cut Lotus Petal in the grindier builds. I'll cut 1 Lotus Petal. Okay. I will play first. This hand is pretty bad. It's got way too many lands, and it's got an Oracle, which is already kind of a blank mulligan, so I'm just going to ship it. This hand is better. I'll keep this. Min kept on 7. I'm going to pitch 1 of these forces. I think I'm going to pitch the Force of Negation, because Force of Will I can use to protect my own Doomsday, while Force of Negation I can't. Obviously I'm missing a blue source in this hand. Missing a lot. So Min's hand has Vendilion Click. Interesting. Brainstorm, Ponder, Lotus Petal. So I'm going to take the Ponder because it's screwed. Actually, no, I'm going to take the Brainstorm. So the thing I'm considering here is if I take the Brainstorm, if I take the Ponder, he will just go land go. And then if I duress on turn 2, he can Brainstorm and basically strand this duress. But I guess that means I just won't duress on turn 2. So I'm going to take this Ponder and just kind of hope that plan works. I'm not going to cast this duress into Min's Brainstorm. Lotus Petal was a very good draw for me. It's a backup Red Blast, which is currently planning to trade with this Vendilion Click. I guess I could have also used it on the Brainstorm, but I'd rather play it like this. LED I'm not going to play because of this Brainstorm. I'd rather this be something I can tuck away. Vendilion Click, and I am going to Red Blast that. Basically, I'm not anywhere close to winning, and the pressure that Vendilion Click provides, as well as the information, is a bit too much for me to deal with. Now he's using the Brainstorm. So at this point, I will be able to kind of duress him next turn and plan a little bit better. And hopefully he won't have a second Brainstorm to tuck away important non-creature spells. Unfortunately, this has been a bit of a lackluster performance from the old Doomsday. These hands have not been great. It's normally much better than this. I'm not going to put in the LED. There's no reason. Emrakul. Alright. Well, that's everything. So I'm just going to say GG here. And let's move on to match 2. Okay, we are ready for round 2. I'm going to challenge Min. This is my blue-white Sharkstill list, featuring 1 main deck moat, Brazen Borrower, 2 Teferis, all sorts of fun stuff, a Hall of Heliod's Generosity to return Sharkstill, or Landstill, Shark Typhoon, and moat. And of course get to play 3 Jaces now because Oko is banned out of the format. So let's challenge the old Min. Format Legacy, Deck, Sharkstill, Skill Level, Tournament Practice. This is very serious stuff. Boom. Okay, so we lost the first match. Let's hope that we can win the next 2. Min won the die roll, so it's always interesting. I won the die roll last time and got demolished, so maybe that means I will win this time. This hand is quite good. It's got a Spell Snare, which is the perfect card on the draw because you go land, go, and then you basically trade up on tempo. So I will keep this. Min is mulligan to 6 at this point. Mulligan to 5. Look at that. It's the kind of luck that I need in this. Alright, so Min's playing some sort of Grixis Pyromancer control deck. I assume Of One Mind is involved because that card is sweet and is the kind of card that would cause Min to want to play this sort of deck. Because Min loves drawing 2 cards. So at this point, I don't have a 3rd land, so I'm not going to jam the Standstill yet. I have a 3rd land on top of my library now, so it's looking more likely that I'd probably try to jam the Standstill next turn, if need be. The reason I put the Force in my hand is because I'm up on cards so much in this game. What I really can't afford to have happen is getting too behind on board. Min has fetched 2 non-basics, Grixis Colors. Bloodstained Mire getting cracked now for a 3rd. Young Peasy. Absolutely not. So I am fetching away the land I know is on top, and that was a little bit irresponsible of me. But I'd rather Spell Snare this now, and then if that goes awry, I could backup Plow. But I just didn't want any board presence, because I'm gonna, at this point, just jam this Standstill, I think. Actually, not entirely sure. Yep, found a land, jamming the Standstill. So at some point, probably before I discard, I'm going to cycle this Shark Typhoon. But I'm in no rush to do it. I might do it at the end of Min's turn, just to give me 2 shots at a land for the next one. Yep, that looks like what I'm going to do. Thank you. One of these needs to be blue. Okay, that was not a land. Is this a land? Nope. That's okay. Shark is getting in there. At this point, Min's going to crack my Standstill on the end step. Because what this does is it basically forces me to do some sort of looting effect, where I draw and discard, because I'm at 10 cards and I'm on my end step, so I can't really use things. However, me, an intellectual, knows that if I Force of Will, then I cast Brazen Borrower, I don't need to discard anything. Look at that. So what's Min going to do? Of one mind, yep, so I was correct about that. I'm just going to let him hardcast the draw 2 cards. I'm okay with that. I'm also not worried about young Pyromancer coming down because I have this moat. And I have another Standstill. Great. Let's do that first. He essentially has to force this or what have you. Now. Things are only going to get worse. Yeah, okay, bolting the Brazen Borrower is fine. I have a couple land drops to make. I'm in no hurry. In fact, that's even the flavor text on Standstill. Take your time. Put a land. So you'll notice that this Sharkstill deck doesn't play any creature lands. No Mishra's Factories or Fairy Conclaves or any of that business. And that's, I mean, the archetype is typically called land still because you've got your creature lands and you've got your standstill. So why am I not playing those? Well, this deck is basically a Callum Smith, aka Whiteface's MTG design. And he came up with the deck with this understanding that those creature lands are actually one of the weakest cards in the deck because they're really only functional under a standstill, and they give you a really bad rate as far as what they do. And for the most part, even though right now, because I know that Min's playing like a Grixis control deck, I just fetch these Tundras. You generally don't want to, I'll let this sit for a sec, you generally don't want to play out wastable lands. So this deck plays 4 islands and 2 plains, so ideally you can play this like waste-proof game while cycling sharks to accrue advantage under your standstill, and the creature lands become unnecessary at that point. So what's happening here is my shark is getting killed and this young Pyromancer is coming back. I am okay with both of those things, I think, because I'm also up to 9 cards now, and it's on my end step. So I could, just cleanly counterspell this, and I think I'm going to. Not because I actually care about it, but because I don't need to worry about it. Like, I just don't, I'm going to have to discard cards anyway, and so I may as well just like trade the counterspell because I can still snap counterspell if something comes up that matters. I have a moat and 2 plows, so I'm not going to lose the ground game. Force of negation. So at this point, I'm just going to attack with my shark. I think I'm going to cast a brainstorm here. Try to find... Ooh, Shark Typhoon is perfect. I'm going to put away both plows. I'm going to play Teferi. I expect some sort of fight over this Teferi. Yep, there's the Force of negation. And am I okay with that? Because I could also just like fight over this, resolve it, and then jam another. Yeah, I like that. So fight over this. I'm going to pitch my own Force of negation. And I'm going to jam a standstill. So at this point, Min can no longer blow up my standstill on my end step. He has to do it on his main phase, which you see he is doing here. He's dreadboarding my Teferi. The downside of not knowing lists is I couldn't plan for that, but I have a backup Teferi, so things are okay. I'm also up to 7 cards now, which is exactly where I want to be. I think next turn, all things being equal, I'm going to... Ooh, there's a Jace. Okay. I'm going to play out this Shark Typhoon full retail. It's like play the enchantment. Yeah. Casting Shark Typhoon. Resolved. Now we attack Jace. And assuming that we can get this Shark Typhoon to stick around to any degree, this Jace is not long for this world. I can brainstorm end of turn. I can cast another Shark Typhoon on my main phase, which at the bare minimum will make a 6/6 Shark. I can also like Jace plus Teferi if I need to, or Teferi plus Jace probably is a better order for that. Looks like he's casting Baleful Strix, okay. I like that we get to choose our basics now. They're not all snow covered. EE for 0. This Teferi can solve that problem. So I'm not going to blow the brainstorm now because of this EE. Just doesn't do what I want it to. So now, unfortunately, I should have attacked first, actually. That was dumb. That was a dumb play. Because now I'm just going to lose this attack for no reason. So Min forced there. I'm going to snap Counterspell. But yeah, I should have done all this fighting after the Engineered Explosives was off the board, because look at this, I'm going to lose all these for no value. That was a mistake. Just a good old-fashioned mistake. But now I can attack Jace. The EE gets popped. I need to plus... And I hope I don't get Dreadboard again. I did not play that particularly well. In fact, I think I played that particularly poorly. But it's okay, live and learn. I think I'm going to accrue enough advantage with these Sharks that I'll still be able to take over this game. Plague Engineer on Shark. You love to see it. That's hilarious. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I have 7 mana available. So if I play this now, I get a 6/6 and then a 1/1 which would die. So that's no good. It is, however, I think, looking like high time to drop. So I could Teferi bounce this Plague Engineer. But I have no guarantee of like preventing this from resolving on its way back down. At this point. Well, let's bounce. Plaguey. Spell Snare is still not a way to prevent it from resolving on its way back down. So I think I'm going to ponder for a force first. I'm basically going to try to prevent this Plague Engineer from resolving. I'll take a little bit extra time on resolving the second Shark Typhoon. There's a counterspell, perfect. And a Source of Plowshares if things go awry. 2, 3, 4. There's a Yase. Going to Brainstorm. Have a land now, great. So I'll just put like Ponder and Shark Typhoon on top. So at this point, I think I have pretty good control of the game because Min's going to recast that Plague Engineer. I'm going to counterspell it. At some point, if he leaves his Baleful Strix back to block, I can plow it. I feel like I have control of this game in a decent way. Sticking around Shark is actually a pretty scary thing. Yeah, so we do not want that. And I get an extra 2/2 for my time. This deck only plays 3 Tundras, so this can't actually fetch away to the cast Source of Plowshares. But it can fetch Island, and I'm going to do that. Cool. Min has seen enough. Too many sharks. Okay, so this matchup. Moat was going to be backbreaking. Min's creatures are basically all ground creatures. The deck is pretty well configured for it. Brazen Borrower trades pretty poorly against the Baleful Strix and the basically against Baleful Strix. Force of Negation is fine, but not crazy necessary. But let's see what we would actually want. I kind of like the idea of Relic of Progenitus and Ashiok, or Ashiok. The reason Ashiok just kind of like keeping his graveyard in check, prevent Kolaghan's command loops, etc. But then the fact that he's going to bring in a pile of Pyroblasts kind of makes Ashiok look worse. I think that's not where I want to be. I'm on the draw, so Force of Negation is probably fine. Expecting like Lilianas and stuff to be coming down and annoying. So I can just do 1 Relic for 1 Brazen Borrower and call it a day, probably. I think that's a good plan. Okay. This hand is fine. It's nothing super exciting, but it's got cards. Cabal Therapy. It's fine. I don't think he's going to name any of the cards in my hand. Brainstorm, yep. Okay. Gotta respect the Cabal Therapy, though. Tundra off the top. Not really what I wanted to see there. It's a Pyromancer. Baleful Strix. I'm actually going to do this now because I don't want the flashback therapy to gain value. So I did it with the trigger on the stack before Min would be able to actually cast the Cabal Therapy. Since these 2 cards are technically unknown by Min, I'm going to play out this Misty Rainforest. Preordain, okay. So if I'm able to resolve this Teferi, I'm just going to jam it and minus. Yeah. So I will fetch, I'm going to fetch Island and Plains. The reason being is that I just want to make sure that fetches in my deck can find the things that they need to find. This is probably true to the Pyroblast. Oh, jeez. Well, I walked right into that. I didn't need to fetch, but I also wasn't playing around drowning the lock, but I will going forward if there's a game 3. Gross. Okay, so now Baleful Strix can draw a card, flashback, and name Shark Typhoon. Flashback therapy, I mean. It doesn't look like he's going to do that. Okay. I have drawn a lot of lands, but that's okay. This deck has some good ways to accrue card advantage. I'm going to wait a little bit longer. I don't want this to die to a Lightning Bolt or Kolaghan command, if I can possibly avoid it. Pyromancer. Okay, so that's getting Snap Plowed. Actually, I'm going to cycle the Shark Typhoon now for a 2-2. The 2-2 beats up on elementals. Even though I didn't want it to like trade with a Kolaghan's command 2 damage or a bolt or whatever, this is fine. Currently, Magic Online is making the claim that elementals have trample. They don't. So we shouldn't need to worry about that. I think on Min's upkeep. Yeah, on Min's upkeep, I'm going to go Snapcaster, Plow, and Young Pyromancer. Yep, it's Pyroblasted, that's fine. It's currently an elemental that's not attacking. And now I've got to try to resolve this Jace. Or do I... Now that I've found a force, there's merit in waiting one more turn to try to stick this Jace. I'm trying to wait until I find a blue card, basically. Because I can also hardcast force here if I need to. That's actually, I think, better than trying to jam the Jace. It's just jamming a Brainstorm. Maybe this gets Pyroblasted. No, it did not. Okay, so I'll put away Flight Strand, Arid Mesa. The more I think about it, the more inclined I am to just like not want to run out this Jace yet, because I'm afraid I'm going to lose it. But that also just might be me being a coward. So, I somehow put Jace on the stack, even though I regret it. Basically, the problem with this is that if there's a stack battle, then there's so many creatures in play that this Jace just might die to combat. So the Hardcast Force is coming. Yep. And I will force back. I'm basically trying to I need to like brainstorm into some sort of removal spell at this point. I could +2, but I don't think that's a winning proposition. I think this Spell Snare is solid, so I'm going to put Spell Snare and Brainstorm in hand and leave it like this. There's a chance he just doesn't do an all-out suicidal attack. If he does, then I will Brainstorm and hope that I can find a removal spell. He did do an all-out attack, so I know my top 2 cards and I don't want them, so I'm going to fetch. Grab this Tundra, cast a Brainstorm, stand still, okay. It's not too bad. I'm going to put, actually it's not great given my being behind on board. Maybe I should have brought in a Supreme Verdict or 2. I'm going to go Ponder on top, stand still below it. So I'll either basically Spell Snare this turn or force pitch a Spell Snare. Now I'm pondering. Moat, perfect. Okay, so one, two, three. Shuffle. See if he can beat this moat. Then Standstill can come down next turn. Narset. That's kind of annoying. It does shut down my Standstill completely. So I'm going to force it. Just because it gets in the way of my plan. Oh no! Well, it means I'm not casting the Standstill soon, anytime soon. Standstill will stay around in hand, and I'll draw basically Standstill, Force Negation, and oh jeez, now things are in the... Now this stinks, but I actually have to play the Standstill now because I need to draw the Jace. I need to draw the Force Negation when Min casts the Jace. The Standstill is basically going to cycle because I can only draw 1 card. Ooh, that's a smart play. So I'm going to draw this Force of Negation, and then Min just gets to Thoughtseize it. Now he gets to play his Jace. I guess it's of 1 mind first, why not, right? Now he gets to play his Jace. Scrying. No, Fate Sealed me. Caracas, huh? Okay, I'm just gonna keep that in hand. Possibly something I can put away with a Brainstorm. I think this Jace is just gonna tick up and kill me. It's putting cards on top. Too many cards. Playing out this Caracas. I don't think a Brainstorm chain is going to work. I'm getting Fate Sealed out of this. Put a card on bottom. Okay, that's promising. Is this draw step is live? It's not really live though, because unfortunately with standstill, I have to be the first. I have to act first at this point, so I cannot cast a standstill. Jace to 11. Could really use that Bridge and Borrower that I have in my sideboard. Alright, concede. Okay, so going into game 3, maybe I do want... I don't know. Maybe... cut one Source to Plowshares for one Supreme Verdict. I have 2 Force Negations main, 2 side. 2/2 seems okay. Well, actually, no, I need 3. 1. Maybe the Relic goes... Nope, that's 61 somehow. This looks right. I don't really see a reason to change it up too much. Okay. Play first. Now this hand is fantastic. I'm going to fetch a Tundra with this Polluted Delta and Ponder. See if there's anything even better I can do. Just kind of trying to set up a solid draw, get a blue pitch. But honestly, I could just go land go. And then turns to standstill, force protection. Yeah, maybe that's better. Because I mean, if I'm looking for a blue pitch, the Ponder already found it. And that looks like it's a Pyroblast. But I will force to fight, so I will go Tundra, standstill. If this gets Pyroblasted, I will force back. Let's make it happen. There we go. Okay. And we're taking it slow. Okay, great. Gonna try to hit land drops. Seems like Min is also happy to just kind of hang back and make land drops. The reason why I played out the island as opposed to the fetch land is so that if I want to fetch and make a 2/2 shark, I don't have to break both my fetches. Keeping this brainstorm live as long as possible. I think I'm going to make a 3/3 shark at this end step. I would wait to make a 4/4 shark if I knew that I had a land on top, but I didn't know that, so I think this is safer. Now at this point I just kind of get to hang back. Got my sharks in a row. Min's on 7 cards. Going to Cabal Therapy me. I'm going to cast a Brainstorm. Put 2 Brainstorm. Put 2 Brainstorms on top. this is the second main phase. Could also force a negation this, but I think this is fine. Oh, jeez, Min's too good at this. He nailed my Snapcaster. A true master at this game. I think I'm gonna force a negation this Brainstorm. It's been sitting. Oof. I'm just being thoroughly outplayed here. I will not pay for any copies of Flusterstorm. So I'm going to draw a Brainstorm off the top, I'll cast it. Put back 2 lands, fetch, cast another Brainstorm, and hopefully end up somewhere good. That's my plan at this point. Thoughtseize takes my Borrower. Start with the Brainstorm. It's a Pyroblast. Yep. Okay. Of note, the Scalding Tarn currently doesn't fetch anything because my last island is in hand. And I have 2 planes in the deck. So Arid Mesa is the land of choice. Okay. So elementals are getting made. Fortunately, my hand is Cabal Therapy proof, by which I mean I have nothing. See what I can find. Is force a negation or something? Snapcaster Pyroblast, okay. So I've currently got Min on a... So here's the problem. So I've currently got Min on a 3-turn clock. So I attack here, then attack, then attack. And I have a feeling that that's better than just like letting Min cantrip like wild and overwhelming me and then attacking through twice. But I also don't know because a single Jace or extra Pyroblast or what have you also removes my Shark. So I'm truly not sure which is better. Min chose to not shuffle though. Okay, of one mind. Drawing 2 cards. And there's the Jace, so things are not coming up Millhouse. Oof. Ponder. I mean, if I'm gonna win, it's gonna be because Ponder works. Okay, Min disagrees. No Ponders. So I'm dead now. This is a 5, 9. I'm at 10. Can't fetch. So you can Fate Seal me because I can't fetch. Oh, he'll just unsummon the Snapcaster and then there's nothing I can do. Nice. GG. So Min's up 2-0. And our last match is going to be me on Blue-Black Shadow against Min on Miracles. See you all in a minute. Okay, here we are for the last round. Min is up 2-0 on me. Let's try to get one on him. It is going to be Blue-black Shadow versus Miracles. Tournament practice. Watchers allowed? No. Let's get him. So this is Mins and Miracles aficionado, and I've had a really hard time winning with Shadow. So this should be a walk in the park. Keep. So at this point, this Fatal Push doesn't probably do much, depending upon how many Mentors he's playing main deck. This Stifle could potentially be good. Min chose to shuffle. So I'm going to Thoughtseize Min. So he has a fetch land, good to know. 2 Brainstorms and Narset, which I'll basically have to force if it ever comes down. And a Ponder. So at this point, I think I'm going to take the Narset and just leave him with a bunch of cantrips. Trying to get my life total a little bit lower. The tricky part about this matchup is, of course, that 1 Swords to Plowshares puts you at 13, which means that you can only have 1 Death Shadow in play at a time. Otherwise, it's extremely risky. Ooh, I failed to successfully shuffle there. Let's go to 12. So we got a pile of forces, which is good and bad. Force of negations will be fine. Min's playing around the Stifle as best he can. I'll play a land here and pass. I have a Fatal Push that I know about on top. But I'm in no rush to act because these Force of Negations can currently just fight 1 for 1. I'll try to draw 1 more card before I cast a Brainstorm. Ponder's fine. Not going to force a negation to Ponder. I mean, I could. There's reasonable times to do so, but I don't think right now I want to do that. Min is hellbent on making this Stifle not do much, but that's okay. He might fetch now? Okay, cool. Now I have double Stifle for double fetch. That's ideal. So I can put away Fatal Push, put Force of Negation, or actually put a Force of Will on top. And I'm not going to do anything yet with this Death Shadow. I'm going to wait a little bit longer. See if I can't double Stifle Min. It's pondering, which again is fine. I don't know how much I want this force on top of my library. I don't think I need it. Of note, this is my last fetchable land. Let's cycle Street Wraith and see what we find. Wasteland, nice. So I'm going to do this in Min's upkeep. Wasteland the Tundra. Let's go. 2 Mana, 2 Mana. 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 2 Mana, Now we begin the battle. Honor's fine. I'm basically going to deny the flooded strands. Oop, that didn't work anymore, but I was trying to deny him with basic planes. So I'm going to keep this flooded strand in hand. It's currently not doing anything out on the field. Can't fetch. I'll need to daze first before I can do anything with it. This brainstorm resolves. I'm basically afraid of the source of plowshares. I want to try to get some discard down before I can do that. Although at this point, maybe that's not right. Maybe I need to just rely on my forces. Stifle that. Force negation, I will force back. Predicting himself. I think I let that resolve right now. The idea being is that I have force pitch force. So this unfortunately finds a basic planes. But I have force pitch force for the first plow and a force of negation for the second one. EE for 1 is also something I have to force. I can't say I'm into it. This is probably getting a Tundra to plow me now. No, okay. So at this point, I'm going to actually crack this fetch, just to lose a life, because it affects the clock. And as silly as it sounds, that matters. I've got to force it to ferry, because if I don't, then force goes dead anyway, and there's the plow. Try to find a whale. These cards do not do anything. There's a whale. So I gotta get lucky here. So I'm gonna grab Thoughtseize. Actually no. Thoughtseize, Fawn, Ponder, and Brainstorm. Let's hope I get to live to untap. The first card I grab back is a force negation. Predict Bauble Miracles is sweet. I know that Marcus has been having fun with it too. It's a powerful deck. Oh jeez, there's the Jace. Okay. Well, that's just terrible for me. So at this point, I go Fawn, Stifle, Brainstorm, and I think Wasteland. And I want to put all my eggs in another basket when I know that this is just going to get bounced. Or like at the very least, it's going to get bounced. So having Forcible and Stifle as backup cards is valuable. Okay. I've essentially seen enough this game. I'll battle it out for a little longer. But it does not feel good. Okay, no longer battling it out, conceding. So Winter Orb and Lilion the Last Hope and Plague Engineer are going to do a lot of heavy lifting here. Plague Engineer being for monks. The Dismembers and Fatal Pushes are a bit too narrow, I think, as like single target spot removal for a mentor. So these are not cards I want. I can cobble together removal for a mentor and tokens between these two. So that seems worthwhile to me. The full set of Dazes will be good with the Winter Orbs. And I'm going to keep all the Stifles, I think. I could shave one Stifle, perhaps. And also, actually no, I'm going to shave 2 Wastelands because of Min's ability to fetch basics. Going down to 15 lands is quite low, but I think it's fine given the circumstances. There's also an argument for Surgical, given that Min's on Miracles. Yeah, maybe, because like Surgicaling a Plow and stuff is still quite reasonable as well. So bring 1 in, and I'll cut a 3rd Wasteland. By the way, we're able to do this thanks to a very generous sponsorship by Card Hoarder, so super grateful for that. Also grateful for this hand. Hand looks great to keep. I'm going to go pay 2 life and Thoughtseize Min, see what he's working with. Okay, so he's got Ponder. He's got a 1-line Ponder hand, so I'm going to take the Ponder, I think. But it's got Bauble, Relic, EE, Teferi. So the Relic is a bit annoying and stuff due to this Forager. But I'm going to see if I can't actually try to get the Forager down under it. Like I can force a negation. Actually, it'll just be fine. I can keep it as a pitch. Not super worried. Oops. Min still has an EE in hand that I know about. So let's cycle the Street Wraith. Ponder. Thoughtseize, Death Shadow, and Liliana are all good. One, two, three. But I think right now what I really want to do is prioritize getting this Death Shadow out. Because I know that Min is stuck on both white mana and doesn't have a good removal spell. Or he has the EE, but you know, I can force that. And that gives me enough cards for the whale. So he's choosing exile a card. EE for 1. I have no interest in letting that happen, so I'll force pitch Ponder. And then basically if I find Ponder into a land or something here, I can land the Forager. Which I do. Forager. 1, 2, 3, 4. And the Shadow comes crashing in. So now Min's sadly popping the EE there. Just trying to basically get a Teferi down on the field. The 2/2 Death Shadow is a little bit embarrassing, but hopefully I can find something to cause myself more harm soon. I have a force on top of my library and a blue card under that. So my plan is to attack. Okay, so assuming that my forager can live to attack, I'm in pretty good shape because I can return this force of negation to my hand and have double force, which is the primary plan right now. Yep. Attack. I will return force of negation to my hand. Min sees, I think it's a cantrip. I think it's a brainstorm. Basically desperation bobbling. The fact that he can't find white has been very helpful to me this game. Obviously. It is worth noting that right at this point, like this why this is a scary matchup, if this Ethereal Forager got plowed, I would lose my Death Shadow as well. I will force of negation this Teferi. Now I'm going to fire off, I think, a brainstorm now. The reason being is to try to lose some life before combat. Like, I didn't find one, but did find a daze. So Shadow, Plague Engineer are both good. I will attack, return Ponder. And I think I'm going to Ponder here. Ooh, nice. Street Wraith is great. So my debate right now is whether I want to jam another Death Shadow. And the reason, I guess the reason not to is I have lethal right now. I'm presenting lethal. I mean, he doesn't know it's lethal, but it is. Because of the Street Wraith. So, no reason to overcommit. So I'm going to force that, pitching Brainstorm, because I know about this Jace. So Pyroblast. So I'm going to cycle in response here. And what that means is that my shadow will not die when this gets plowed. Now I will jam out the shadow. I'm going to play a Plague Engineer. Because it uses my mana better. And Monk. If Jace resolves... Uh-oh. Plow, huh? Okay. So now this, I can't even daze the Jace, that sucks. I felt like I had this game locked up. Now I feel like I'm losing it. I I think I have to daze this. The reason being is because I need to get the shadow down next turn. And the watery grave is how I do that. Oh, this is tough. Okay, so although I had just laid out a plan, I think at this point I need to waste the Tundra. Then next turn I need to pay 2 and play out the shadow. Well, unfortunately that's the plains, so my plan fell flat on its face. Let's address Stifle. Forager, okay, well, that's good. So I'll say yes here. Play the shadow. See if it sticks. It does, okay. Now I'm just going to play this Forager and yellow. I don't think I can beat another plow, but who can? Oh, Min named the wrong card with Predict, but I think he's so far ahead that it doesn't matter. Oh, this is a stressful game. Min's Ponder chose to not shuffle. So I assume this is a Plow and Forager, which then eats the Death Shadow. Going to 1, jeez. Oh, Mentor, okay. Chose to shuffle. Maybe he doesn't have a plow. Wow. Won that game, okay. Plague Engineer kind of underperformed that game, as maybe Mentor doesn't come down until it's too late to deal with. So I brought in one more Wasteland, because actually Wasteland seemed like it had legitimate targets the way that Min was playing. So I'm going to try that for game 3. Exciting that there's a game 3 though. I'm proud of myself. Oop, no lands. Mulligan. This is also a mulligan. Of note, I didn't cut any color producing lands, so it's not like cutting the wastelands is causing these issues. It's more of just virtue of the hands. I don't know if I can win on 4 cards. I also don't know if I can win on these 5, so going to 4. Okay. I'll cut. I'll take away Death Shadow. Forager, and the second land. Drew another Forager, so that's putting 1 on the bottom was clearly the right call. Let's try to find a second land. I know they could have kept it, but we didn't know what we were going to find. So the idea was, I did choose to shuffle, by the way. Just ended up finding the days anyway. So what I was trying to say is the reason why I bottomed the land and pondered to try to find one is if I naturally drew a land, a 4-card hand gets flooded very easily. See, there we go. So I can ponder again. These are nice. So my plan is to basically pass the draw, pass the turn again. Unless, yeah, after days this mentor. So now I'm just going to jam this Winter Orb. Hope it works. Woo. Finding a force is really nice here as well. I think I'm going to save one Watery Grave. And I'm not going to go too all in. Actually, no. I have Multifor. I'm going to go all in on this Forager. Force to protect it, what have you. This Forager is my lifeblood. Zero mana cantrips under a Winter Orb? No fair. Terminus, okay. I will force this. Okay. Well, that stinks. Thoughtseize is goodish. Ponder, ponder, bobble. Take a ponder. So, known hand of ponder, bobble. I guess I could like top deck a Death Shadow and be okay at some point. Daze is a good draw. I do need to find a threat pretty soon, though. Min kept on his ponder, by the way. Wasteland is nice. I'll Wasteland now. There's an argument. Actually, I probably should have Wastelanded the Volcanic, but I'm just so scared of white sources, and I figure I can constrict them with Winter Orb that it became worthwhile. I do think Min is going to walk into a daze or something. Sanctuarying back Ponder. I will daze this Mentor. Let's draw a Shadow. Stifle is pretty good. I'm going to go to 6. Here's a Shadow. Nice. So ideally what happens is he ponders, finds like a plow. Oh no, never mind. He can untap his plains. I forgot about that. Thought he would have to like fetch to find a white source or something. It's casting ponder though, obviously. Chose not to shuffle. I will stifle that. Plague Engineer is a nice one. It's kind of as a backup threat. Terminus? No. Brainstorming for the plow now. Yep, there it is. Go to 13. Huh. I think I want to... No. I'm trying to figure out if I want to brainstorm or plague here. I think I'm going to plague first. The reason being is that I can actually, like if I find a Death Shadow right now, there's not much I can do with it. Like I'd have to find a fetch line and a Death Shadow, but at that point I'm putting away the Plague Engineer. It's not really something I want to do. So yeah, we're mana constrained now, which is great. That's where I want to be. Min's fetching. 6 Sanctuary, getting Plow back probably. Getting Terminus back, okay. Terminus is on top of the library. Noted. Let's draw Stifle. No, but we did draw Liliana, which will be quite good down the road. So Min's going to Terminus this turn. I'm okay with that. And then I'm going to untap. If I draw a land, I can cast Liliana. If not, I can cast Liliana next turn. Thoughtseize. I think I just wait. Rather try to jam out Liliana. If I draw a land, I can Thoughtseize first. No, but I can now Force of Will, so that's good too. I'm checking the top of his library. Predicting. No, I'm against that. So hopefully I can keep him constrained enough that this can actually get me there. Nice, Watery Grave's a good draw, so I will Thoughtseize first. Predict, EE, Pyroblast, Blast. Okay, so I'm going to take the EE because it's the thing that can answer the board. I'm going to go to 8. Make sure I plus Liliana. So Liliana is a plussing machine here. So I know Min's hand of 2 predicts and 2 blasts. So hopefully nothing terrible happens here. Force is good, obviously. Unfortunately, it does walk into Blast unless he taps out. I will -7 this Liliana if I can. Bobble is fine. Nice, so -7 Lily. Cycle Streetwraith here. Cool, now I have Hardcast Force of Will, so if a mentor comes down, I can fight on the stack. So at this point, I'm going to do this now, because this forces Min to basically fight this battle before he has mana untapped. Okay, well he had a Flusterstorm. So the blasts are still blasts. Oh no, Min named Petty Theft instead of Borrower. Okay, so the good news here is I have a Liliana emblem. I am proud of myself for pulling this board state off on a Multifor. Brainstorm's a good draw. Obviously, I don't think I'm going to do much with it yet. I am proud of myself for navigating this board state, like I'd said. So at this point, Min is basically Terminus or Bust, but I'm going to wait to fight over the Terminus. And I can also win through a Terminus, you know, keep on making more zombies every turn. Min is predicting himself, so he's figuring out which cards. He named Brainstorm, because I think he'd seen 2, but he's down to 23 cards in library, so still probably the safest bet. Relic is fine. He's looking for that Terminus off the top. Looks like the Multifor got there. Apparently, if Min hadn't messed up that predict, he would have been able to make 2 angels. So, well, that's too bad. But I did win on a Multifor, so I'm happy about that. And Min's just explaining, and I'm sure if you watch his side of the video, you can see what happened. But he named Petty Theft instead of Brazen Borrower with Predict, and unfortunately Petty Theft is this adventure mode of Brazen Borrower. It's not a full card, so it doesn't actually draw 2. So Min got 2 matches, I got 1. I actually going into this, I expected to win the Doomsday and Landstill matches, or Sharkstill, not Landstill, and lose this one horribly. So it's funny that I actually ended up 0 for 3 on my predictions. So I owe Min. So we're doing 10 tickets per match, which basically means that the 1 match differential means I owe Min 10 tickets. So I will trade the guy. He can take tickets. So yeah, that was that was fun. Really enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed this MinMax battle number 4, and I hope you enjoyed this format better too. I think last format got a little overcomplicated, so please let us know if you're watching this on YouTube. Drop a YouTube comment if you see this on Reddit. Reddit reply if you see this on minmaxblog.com, where we host all our stuff. Then you can leave a comment there too. So yeah, minmaxblog.com. This was MinMax battle number 4, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.